Hey, all right, let's look at a couple of these questions on your quiz. One of them that I want to start with is number one. I know I talked about it in class, but I must not have done a very good job of explaining it. So I'm gonna try again here. We've got this function, g of x equals 4,096 to some power. Could be squared, could be cubed, could be something. And they tell us what they're going to use for x, what you should use for x. 0, 0.25, 0.50, 0. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different numbers that we're going to replace x with in this function. So I've got that written here. And I'm going to start with the first one. So I'm going to start with 4,096 to the power of 0. And that's our first answer that we're going to look for. Then we're going to look for 4,096 to the power of 0.25 is the next one. And I don't expect you to know these off the top of your head. To the 0, you might know that one, but we've got a calculator. So 4,096 to the power of 0 equals 1. So my first answer, 1. And in fact, on your in your Odyssey-ware, all you really need to write is the answer. So you don't have to write this part here. Just put 1. Enter. So make a new line, and that will do the next one. 4,096 to the 0.25 to the power of 0.25 equals 8. That's the answer for the next one, 8. And remember, in your phone, I'm going to try and show you this. We'll see how it goes. In your phone, when you turn it to the side, there's a button that says x to the y power. That's not going to come in very well here on this. But there's a button that says x to the y power. That's your to the power button. It's kind of right about in the middle there, x to the y. That's the one you're going to use for your exponents if you're using a phone calculator. Otherwise, Google it. I just Googled calculator, and this popped up right here. And so I've been typing it, but I guess if I were going to put it in 4,096, right here, there's that x to the y, 0.25, oops, and 6 to the power of 0.25. There we go, equals 8. So that's where you get your exponent power there. And you're going to do that over and over and over again. So you're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to have 5 answers for that one. It's the same idea for number 9. Different numbers, but you're supposed to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different answers. You just type it in, type the whole decimal. I mean, you're typing. It doesn't take that long to type the whole decimal. But go ahead and just type the whole decimal. All right. Next. Let's look at this one, number 4. So it says that Nancy borrows $5,000 at a rate of 16% interest. That's a big interest rate. Home loans right now are around like 3 or 4% interest. Car loans usually in like the 5, maybe 10, but 10% interest is high. 16% interest is ridiculous. And they want to know, what is the amount due at the end of 5 years? It's hard for me right here without having you in front of me to really explain what compound interest means. But the key piece here is that we're talking about compound interest. And in Google Classroom, I pointed you here the other day, there's a formula sheet for exponential growth and exponential decay formulas. All these right here, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 formulas are all about interest rates and percent interest and compound interest. And you have to look for, in the problem, is it compounded monthly, weekly, daily, every year, annually, continuously? Continuously would be like every second, every nanosecond, every half a nano, continuous interest. So you don't wait till the end of the month to get your interest. You don't wait till the end of the day to get your interest. You don't even wait till the end of the second. It's just boom, 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 constant interest. So this problem says it's compounded continuously. So we are going to use that continuous compound interest. Okay, so I'm going to write that formula down, or type that formula. PERT, that's what I'm going to write down here. So we've got The amount that you're going to have to owe is equal to P. I'll explain what these letters mean here in a second. Oops, I missed a T. There we go. Okay, so the amount that you owe is equal to P is the principal. That's how much you borrowed or how much you invested. It's your starting amount. So P is how much you're starting with. So we're starting, in this case, for Nancy with $5,000. That's how much she's borrowing, $5,000, at a rate of 16%. All of these formulas have an R for rate, but that rate has to be put in as a decimal. Calculators don't like percentages. They don't like fractions. Calculators like decimals. So if you're going to use a calculator, which most people do, use a decimal. So I'm going to change this instead of 16%. 16% is a decimal. Percents are out of 100. So 16 out of 100, 16 divided by 100, 0.16. Okay, so 16%, 0.16 interest rate. In my formula, there's this letter E here. That's in your calculator. It's a constant. It's kind of like pi. So E is right here. E is that decimal. And it keeps going. It doesn't stop at 6. It just keeps on going, kind of like pi. But that's a number, E. So I'm just going to put E to the power of R. R was our rate, 0.16 as a decimal, times the time. Let's see, here's the problem. 5 years. That's how much time she's going to borrow this money for. A 5-year loan for a car is about right. Most people have a 5-year loan. So times 5. All right, so that's filling in the blanks. That's what it looks like when you fill in the blanks. How much are you starting with? E is just a number. R is the rate, 0.16, 16%. T was time, 5. I'm going to type that in the calculator. 5,000 E to the power of 0.16 times, with this calculator, it looks like I'm going to need to put some parentheses because it's putting this times 5 at the end. I don't want that. That's not what my formula looks like. I want the times 5 to be little up here with the 0.16. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to put parentheses. 0.16 times 5 there. Now that times 5 is little. So if you are using, depending on your calculator, all the calculators act just a little bit different. You might need to put some parentheses in. Equals. All right, so $5,000 compound interest, 16% for 5 years. Yep. At the end of 5 years, she's going to owe $11,000. So even though she only borrowed $5,000, she's going to owe $11,127.70. That's how much she's going to owe at the end of 5 years. And that's what we see right there. There it is. That's exactly what we got. That's how those formulas are used. Number 8 is talking about, number 4 is when we were just doing 6. There we go. 6 is talking about, here's a percentage, time. You know, we got all these different numbers. So I'll let you look at that number 6. Okay. Number 7 and 8 are very similar, and there's a lot less work that you have to do. Really, it's all about knowing what you're looking at. So I'm not going to use a calculator for this. What it asks you to find is which number represents the rate, the decay rate. But there's that word rate. Well, there, it even gives you a definition, the rate. Remember, in all of these formulas, R is the rate. And the rate is in these parentheses here. So this rate is inside those parentheses. Here's our problem. Remember, the beginning number, that's the principal. That's how much you're starting with. And what's inside the parentheses, that's the rate. Answer, I mean, that's it. That's the problem. You're done with the problem. Which number represents the decay rate? The rate is in parentheses in all those formulas. Got it. We already talked about this. Number 10, I think this is where I'm going to stop. But number 10, what they're asking for in these two boxes is they're asking for the initial deposit. What did you start with? Remember that in all these formulas, the starting number is P. The starting number is that very first number. That's what you're starting with. Nancy started with $5,000. So in this problem here, you need to look back. They've already filled in the blanks. What was the starting number? Then they ask for, again, the rate. So I'm going to let you fill that in, but that's how you do that one. And yeah, okay. So that should help you with a couple of these. Let me know if you still want to finish this today and retake it today. Otherwise, you can retake it tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow.